for Grabs, a podcast where three unfiltered friends talk about anything and everything. And now, here are your hosts, Tracy, Kim, and Rachel.
Welcome to Up for Grabs. I'm Rachel. I'm here with my faithful friends, Kim.
Hello.
And, Tracy.
Hello.
She's somewhat faithful.
What does that even mean?
Know. I don't
I'm
even
the
know
most
what that
faithful.
means.
Apologize.
Okay, I'm sorry.
All right.
Good to have you with us today. I hope that you, after listening or even before, if you're just anticipating loving it, give us a share, a like, a good review. I don't even know what else you can do to make it a favorable thing. But the more you do that, the more people can find us. And Lord knows we need more people hearing the crazy things that we have to say. So
Yeah.
let's go. We don't.
Well, we could.
We could.
why not?
Maybe, maybe not do it. I don't know. Whatever
No,
you
they
feel,
should.
whatever you feel comfortable with. Today on Up for Grabs, we are going to discuss travel. Maybe this will be our wanderlust.
Do you say that word?
I've never said that word before. I don't know why I said it, but I
don't
thought it would be a
either.
fun title for the podcast. But
Yeah,
never mind.
We're on the
I'll write it
heels
down.
of spring break.
We
too.
are. We're coming right up there.
Is it Wanderlust 2022 or just Wanderlust in general since we're discussing others?
Well, let's go for it and make
All
it
right.
2022 just in case we wanderlust in 2023. We don't want to
Gotcha.
get them mixed up. You're so dumb. So yeah, we're going to discuss travel. And the reason we are discussing travel is because we, the three of us, have just come back from traveling. We, as we warned you the last time, we did go to Nashville, Tennessee for a quick weekend getaway.
Very fun.
Just three of us, unsupervised. And I don't know about you guys, but I had fun.
We got our honky tonk on. We did.
Did we?
Well, Tracy did.
Oh.
what does that mean?
Because of your hat.
Oh,
we'll
yeah,
talk
for
about
sure.
that. No, we did.
Okay.
We got our country on, and
Yes.
I had a wonderful time.
We did. Laughed a lot.
It needed to be done.
It did. It did done.
It did done.
happened.
Yeah, I just really feel as though maybe it's just because of COVID that I haven't been away either with my family or my friends or whatever. I haven't had a lot of change of sceneries over the past 2 years.
Yep.
Right.
I can think of one other time, and that's about it.
Yeah.
And I'm going crazy. So
Yeah.
it was good to get my honky tonk on, as you
Yes.
said. Didn't know I needed it, but apparently I did.
We got in touch with our country roots.
Yes.
We partied at a Taco Bell that had a bar in it. So for crying
And
out loud.
live music.
And live music.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you guys know this, but in big cities, they have Taco Bell Cantina. My daughter looked it up because my daughter,
Wait a minute,
Mary,
it's more than one place?
in I think bigger party cities, because Mary was just blown away at the idea of a Taco Bell, but it had a full service bar and a stage for music, and it was delightful.
It really was. It wasn't big,
No, it was just a small, normal sized Taco Bell.
with a man in the corner playing his guitar and singing his heart out to mostly drunk people.
Correct.
I'll tell you what, though, if they would have had that in college,
That's all you need. It's one-stop shopping.
Honest to
beer,
goodness.
music,
Yeah.
Taco Bell was always where we stopped at the end of the night. It was because it was the only place open.
You're kind
And
of cutting out the middleman and just going straight to
Yes.
Taco
yeah,
Bell.
yeah.
Yeah.
my Nacho Bel Grande never tasted better. I just want to shout out to the Nashville.
The Nashville Taco Bell.
Yeah, it hit
It was
different.
good.
It really did.
Listen, her trying to talk like the kids.
I am.
It hit different.
Well, we were with kids. There were a lot of
Oh, there were.
youngsters.
Yeah.
Which really explains why half the time after I had one or two drinks, I would turn into everyone's mom. I saw these kids. Okay, I'll tell you one story. I saw these kids at the Taco Bell when I was waiting for my Nacho Bel Grande, and they were all dressed up like they had been to a dance. Well, I see them, and I'm like, they're like, oh no, middle-aged old lady, watch out. And I was like, hey, kids, did you just get back from prom? And of course, they looked at me like, we have to talk to her. And they said, well, actually, we're from Georgia and we're here for a fraternity dance and it's a formal. And I said, well, I hope you had a good time. Boy, that's a lot of money, then talk about the money to spend. I mean, they just wanted to get out, and I was trying to talk to them about the budgeting that was necessary to make this trip. And so now that I'm old, when I drank, I just kind of turn into people's moms.
Well, I noticed a girl who was holding back vomit.
Oh, Kim,
painfully,
good
and
eye.
I was
trying to give her our bag.
I was
trying to get the boys' attention.
I really was. I made Rachel
going to throw
move
up at any minute.
She kept swallowing and breathing and hiccuping, and I thought at any moment this is going to get ugly.
And she wouldn't look at anything.
She was
She was like
embarrassed.
staring at the floor.
So I scooted my Taco Bell bag to her, and I kind of gave her the eye, like, "You go, girl." And she was like, "I'm fine." I was like, "Okay, that's just." I need to butt out.
Yeah. But she was sitting like directly behind us and like 6 inches higher on a stool. And we would have been in the direct pathway of said vomit if it happened.
Were we in the splash zone?
We were in the splash zone.
So that's disgusting.
But the mother came out of me immediately. I was like, that girl.
It's going
to get bad.
Yeah. Also, the girl that we saw we went line dancing at the Wild Horse Saloon. Is that what it was called?
Yes.
A table of youngsters came and sat next to us, and they were wearing, the sashes, and I'm like, ooh, did you just win? I think I said something like Fair Queen or something. I mean, who knows what I was saying, but I thought it was funny. But, one of her friends was getting married.
Right.
And then I had to sit down, and she said, but she had a breakup. And then
recent breakup, and you heard
Rachel had to counsel her.
I did. I felt like I was Oprah. And
we were there.
Really we were there for a reason.
Yes. Yeah, and you guys were really into it for a while. So,
well, really, it was because
there was a lot of life that needed to be talked about.
Did I tell you what the reason was? Okay, so this young girl, she's 26, super cute, really nice. She's went to college in Minnesota.
Wow, she really got the background on her.
Hold on, there's more. She's in Pennsylvania now, but she's a traveling nurse, and was moving to Denver the next week. And her boyfriend broke up with her, and she was devastated. And do you want to know why he broke up with her? Because I told her, I'm like,
should you be telling this? What are you going to say?
Do you think he's not going to listen?
No.
All right, go on.
Listen to what a jerk this guy was. She said that he broke up with her. He told her he didn't want to date someone that in their profession was exposed to like the AIDS virus.
You're kidding. I never heard that. I didn't hear that part of the conversation.
And to me, I almost was like, is he just making it? Is he making up?
Is that a prank?
I think he had a side chick is what that is. Because nope.
Is that the code for I'm seeing someone else?
I want out and I have to say something so ridiculous that there's no way you'll stay with me.
Well,
so she was
thing.
Yeah, she was crushed. She's like, so I'm moving to Denver. I'm just start over.
Yeah, she needs to get away from him.
That's ridiculous.
And I did say, I'm like, you know what? Better to find out now. Good, sounds like good riddance to him.
Was he born in the 80s? He's afraid of AIDS?
I don't know.
Out loud. What?
I don't know.
Okay,
that's bizarre.
That's whatever. I'm glad that you were able to help her, though.
Through that moment.
I don't recall any of that. I must have been out on the dance floor.
You and I were on the dance floor because I came back first. You were still out there, and she and Rachel were all head to head having this big talk.
She needed to know that it was going to be okay.
Yeah.
And it is. I mean, what a jerk. Who cares,
yeah,
right?
She's better off.
Okay. So anywho, we're talking about travel. Now, one of the things that we wanted to discuss, and Tracy brought this up when we were on our girls trip, and it's true. It rings very true to me. Please explain to our listening audience your brilliant breakdown of a trip versus a vacation.
Okay.
Yep.
So I loved taking my kids places when they were little.
Mm-hmm.
I did not, by the way.
I know. Each and every one of those was a trip, not a vacation. A trip being that we went somewhere different than our home base, but it still entailed organization as far as other people's meals,
yes,
their clothing, monitoring the bathroom usage, the responsibilities that go along. That's a trip, especially if you're not in a hotel. Then that's like even worse. I don't know what's worse, but it's
worse.
That's just living somewhere other than home, because at least in a hotel you get some amenities, but like when you're renting a place, which I love to go rent a place, but do not call that a vacation because the mom is cooking, cleaning.
No, it's not a vacation.
Going back from the beach an hour early to get dinner started while everybody else frolics. Nope. That's a trip, not a vacation.
So we were on a vacation.
Correct.
Oh, definitely.
Mm-hmm. And girls, even though they're girls' trips, it's the name of it, but they are usually vacations.
And we're at a
I
glorious...
don't know when it's a when it's not a vacation, a girls' trip.
And we're at a glorious point in our life where there's not a lot of prep that needs to be done with the family to enjoy a vacation.
Correct.
We can just, for the
Go.
most part, go because our kids are older and we don't have to do all the nonsense that goes along with telling your husband or significant other.
Well, back in the
what they
day,
need
and
to
I'll
do.
just get started, and it's probably
Yeah.
out of order for what you want.
No,
but
go ahead.
We had our book club, which has been brought up a couple of times, and I don't know as far as statute of limitations, what we're allowed to say or not say. I don't know. It's
Are we being
live.
prosecuted for
We
something?
could be. I don't know. So I'm just saying, like, but back in the day when we would go on our book club trips, there were a lot of moms, and we had to leave a lot of instruction for the men. Pre-cooked meals, like here's their schedule. They have soccer at the Y, like everything had to be laid out. And this doesn't require that. This is just a get
Good
in the
old
car and
fashioned fun road trip.
Right.
Yes.
And that was another thing that I did want to make sure we could drive. It wasn't a bad drive.
No, not
at
bad
all.
at all. It was a beautiful day all the way there. It was chilly
Yeah,
on
it
the
was
way back.
70 there when we got there, and then the next day it snowed. So
Yeah. But we did have one
Surprise.
full day of really nice weather.
yeah,
So
Yeah.
it felt good.
And I wore my boots the first day, knowing that they were new and that it was going to be a mistake in Nashville with the hills. And so then my feet hurt, and I had to wear my flip-flops on the snowy day. But that's okay.
If only those could have been reversed.
Yeah.
But-
Hindsight. I had to wear the boots the first day. I couldn't risk not
you
being
do
seen
things
in
in the
them
name of fashion, for crying out loud.
all the time.
Yeah.
Case in point.
I was going to say, speaking of doing things in the name of fashion, okay, Tracy can't go anywhere without bedazzling herself in some way, shape, or form. And you outdid yourself for this trip because we could not go 10 feet without someone complimenting you on your accessory. Would you like to explain exactly what you did?
We should have kept a tally. That would have been.
You should be wearing it right now. I'm pissed.
I'm sorry. I should have. I made a rhinestone hat. I had a white felt hat that I bought. And
A cowboy
covered it
hat.
with 75,000 rhinestones. Inside, under the brim, everything was covered.
It weighed about 10 pounds.
It was glorious and worth the forehead dent. It was worth the headaches. It was worth it all.
Well, I just know that
Everyone loved it.
they did.
Males, females,
Yeah.
I
mean,
gay,
everywhere we went.
straight, color. Everyone loved my hat.
They did. And they all said, "Where did you get that?"
Yeah. And then I got to say, I made it. Although sometimes I wouldn't say, and you guys are like, she made it before I even had a chance.
Sorry, did we steal your thunder?
Well, no, not that I wanted to. It was like embarrassing. Like you guys were like
Why?
cheering for me. I don't know.
I
Like you
would
wanted me
walk
to
around-
get credit for it.
I'd walk around and I'd have a Post-it note on it that said, "Hey,
Yeah, it was pretty
ask me
amazing.
about this. I made it."
Thank you.
Well, it was certainly a hit. And if you ever wanted to earn some extra money, I truly think you could open an Etsy store and sell out of those continuously.
Quickly. Yeah.
But I assume 75,000 rhinestones, it takes a long time to do. It was a labor of love.
Yeah, tedious
labor of
task.
love.
Yeah.
And it's the family hat now. Anytime any of my kids go to Nashville, they have to wear the hat and then write the date on the inside. We're keeping it kind of like a family Bible, but different.
Yeah. Just don't
But
lay it
better.
don't lay it on a bed.
Oh, please explain
I was
that.
dropping facts, a little cowboy fact for you.
my God.
It's bad luck for a cowboy to put his hat on the bed. I don't know why. I just follow it because it's a rule.
But you knew it.
I did know it.
And I had to look it up to verify it. And it is in fact true. What was it that if you leave your hat on a bed, does it invite unwanted, like juju, like unwanted
It's bad luck for
bad
something.
luck?
Yeah,
into
I
your
don't know.
home?
Just bad luck.
Never
Yeah,
heard
I
of
don't
that
know.
at all. But don't.
I'm not
do
risking it.
Don't lay
Anything.
it on a bed.
I
Ever.
still don't step on cracks. I'm 52 years old and I make every effort possible to
need to hook.
step over the crack.
Need to hook. Just need to hang your hat.
Yes.
Yep.
I thought that was something to do with stepping on a crack. And I'm
Me
like,
too. I'm like, oh my
sorry.
God.
I know.
never did
I
that.
went somewhere else. I was really envisioning where to put this hat.
I was trying to figure out what step that was.
No.
That was called the hook.
So we enjoyed our girls trip, and like Tracy said, we've been on a lot of girls trips. Were there
Yeah.
any in particular that jumped out at you
Favorites?
as favorites?
Our New York trip was probably my favorite.
Yeah.
It
New
was.
York was a
I always
top three.
I always talk about what was there, 7 or 8 of us?
Sure.
I mean, there was, and we went for just a long weekend, and it was almost like the perfect storm of we did it, everything. We got to go out and watch the Today Show. I had a near near celebrity moment with Al Roker, and then they went to commercial, and my shining moment was over.
He was
literally
basically
turned right when he got to her.
He
right
was
here.
right there, and then boom,
And then he
had to go. We got to see the Jon Stewart show, a taping of that. We got to meet with a Pulitzer Prize winning author that wrote the
Hours.
The Hours.
It wasn't like we planned it. Like it just all fell into place. It was a perfect trip.
Yeah, it was.
It was a blast. So
Yeah, everything. So many funny lines that I still repeat 10 years later. I don't know that I can say any of them. But,
Yeah, please don't.
Yeah, but all good and funny. Oh, we saw that stupid Addams Family on Broadway.
yes,
It was the cheapest ticket we could get, obviously.
You
Nathan
say
Lane.
You say
Nathan
stupid.
Nathan Lane. I mean, it was Nathan
And
Lane.
BB
but-
Newworth. Lilith
It
from
just
Frasier.
wasn't a good
yeah.
play, but they had
But it was the Addams
But it
Family.
was them.
And
Yeah,
any
true.
of our book clubbers that are listening will understand that
was the best.
That it was the best trip.
Yeah.
And I think that was the first trip after you moved away. True?
Yes, because
Didn't I come to you and we took
you
the
and
train
I-
in?
You and I did.
I don't remember. You know, I have memory
We flew
issues.
into Baltimore, and then we took a train into New York.
We did.
Remember, because I kept saying I hope that there wasn't a murder on the
Yes.
train.
Murder.
Or might take a lover.
You don't
Take
know.
a lover on a train. I don't. Maybe that's too much of an inside joke. There's a Sex in the City
I know.
episode. They go on a train trip. She takes a lover.
Who
lover
does?
and a murder.
Who?
I don't know. I think Sarah I think that
You mixing
just
things
stop
up now.
we got to stop.
We're not cutting that.
Typically, when I travel by train, I take a lover. I can't help it.
And then murder them. So really, you get a little bit of everything. But okay, are you okay?
No.
She's not okay. You guys, this happens. Other than New York,
Oh,
Tracy,
okay.
is there another
My
girls
eyes
trip
are
that
watering now.
I know? Try to
Yes.
see through the tears.
Vegas was fun.
I thought you were going to say the Bahamas.
I don't know what we can say. We're limited on what we can say about the Bahamas.
Yes.
But that was fun.
That was fun.
That was a
too.
cruise, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was,
yeah.
I mean, that was the same trip, Bahamas cruise. That was all
Yes,
one.
That
Okay.
was one. Yeah.
I thought
The thing
so.
about the Bahamas cruise, I didn't realize. I don't get out much. I didn't realize necessarily how poor everything else in the Bahamas, other than
The Atlantic.
Nassau,
Yeah.
really was. And when we got off the boat, and there was a stranger with a sign that said, "Hey, you want me to take you on a tour?" And we were like, "Sure." And we piled in
Was he
his
Baby
van.
Daddy? Was that his nickname?
Yes.
He had 6 kids.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yes, it was.
But I just remember he drove us through the slums. And he was pointing out where like the water was, where how
he
far
was-
away people had to walk to get their fresh water. I'm like, where am I? Oh my gosh!
It had all the makings for some type of
Murder.
crime story.
There were several bad decisions made on that trip.
and
to drink rum from Bahamian men. Bohemian, is that what the word
Yeah.
is? Men that are holding their ice in a cardboard box. I didn't. I would not. I was smart
Me
enough to
either.
know.
okay, time out, because you say men. That was like a 14-year-old
they
boy
were.
that was selling
Everything was
rum.
questionable. They just dropped us off at like just a public beach. We made the most of it.
We had fun.
Oh, we had fun, but thinking back, boy, we were trusting souls.
Yeah, we were.
I
That's-
didn't drink that rum.
Okay.
I was ready to protect us in case.
I know someone that did drink the rum.
Do I know her?
No, you wouldn't remember. Okay, so yes, so
Charleston.
Ooh,
Charleston was fun. Weird, different than for some reason than our other trips.
Yeah, Charleston, I highly recommend if anyone's looking to take a girls' trip or just a getaway. Charleston, South Carolina, is a really cool city.
Yeah.
And we
My niece got married, and her husband went there for their honeymoon.
oh, how fun!
Yeah.
I just remember the food was
The
fantastic.
food was great.
Yeah,
A lot of times we
history.
don't worry about what we're eating when we're on these trips. A lot of times we just grab food wherever, but we were pretty specific
Charleston
on, when we were in Charleston on
definitely
getting the goods.
for food connoisseurs, definitely a nice place. Took a nice dinner cruise. That was hilarious. We did a graveyard tour.
I remember the
A lot
graveyard
of history
tour.
in Charleston. So I loved it. I
Yeah.
loved it.
And the thing, I mean, we didn't stay long enough, obviously, because I think we only stayed, 2 nights or whatever. But Charleston's fun because like the Isle of Palms or whatever is right across the bridge. So you could have had part beachy time and then part historic good food time. Mm-hmm. So maybe we need to expand a trip and go back so we can do a little bit of both. Okay.
Yeah. And then where else did we go with book club? Do you remember?
We went to Chicago because we went to, who's the architect?
Frank Lloyd Wright's house.
Yeah, we had read a book, Loving Frank, one of our all-time favorite book club picks.
I did love it.
We highly recommend that book. That's wonderful. And we went to one of his homes.
And I got in trouble.
Because you touched.
It said, don't touch.
How did you not know not to do that?
I knew it. I read it. It just didn't
just
click.
So tempting to want to yeah.
It was just like his dinette set or something. And I touched it. And the guy caught me and he was rude about it.
As he should be. You were wrong.
Really? I
Yes.
just touched a piece of furniture.
Okay, but then like 20 people a day, hand oils, times 7, times 52, times 20.
What? Then
That's a
you
whole
can't-
lot of
then you
greasy
can't-
fingers on that damn
Then
table.
you can't look at Frank Lloyd Wright's alleged
I said what I said. You were wrong.
banquet.
Yep.
Okay, fine.
All right, where else did we go?
I know. Don't we sound like we were spoiled brats?
Yes, and I want to keep going.
We've talked about this many times, especially if women that are listening to it now that are in the throes of motherhood. How could you possibly think that you could take time and go away for a weekend and leave your children with your husband? Words of advice, do it. If there's a will, there's a way. And that's a part of what we talked about last podcast,
and
self-care.
That's one of the things I wrote in my notes is exactly that. The difference, I think, between a family or a trip versus a girls trip is that like usually you can be in a group and like 10 people are like, yeah, we should do this, we should do that. And then one person, like I'm not necessarily a doer. I don't always follow through on everything I'm supposed to do, or I'm just very hesitant to take steps forward. But in a girls group, there's usually one that says, let's go. Here are 2 sets of dates, pick one. And then all of a sudden, everybody's forced to pick one. And then all of a sudden, you're going, and you're like, I never would have done that on my own.
Yeah, you do
I wouldn't
need
have I
encouragement.
wouldn't have
Yeah.
made those steps or committed that money or that time to do that. But then when someone else says it, so then someone says that, and then someone else plans the hotel.
Yep.
And then someone else looks to see what kind of amenities are in the area. And so it's not one person doing it all, but it's that one doer in the group usually that initiates.
At least get the ball rolling.
Gets the ball rolling.
It didn't hurt that our husbands were friends.
True.
So that kind of I don't know, it made it easier to say, oh, we're going to go do this. And I'm just going to say it, and I'm not trying to be politically correct because I have a very hands-on husband and I'm all for guys trips too. I really am.
Oh, absolutely.
100%. And I'm not going to lie, it's kind of nice.
Yeah, we're calling it a girls trip, but just a friends trip is all I mean.
Yeah, a friends trip. Like that, it's on both ends of the deal. Guys work just as hard. Some of them are out there providing for the moms to stay home. But anyways, I just didn't want to seem like we were being sexist.
Now, a
with
lot
this
of the guys I
podcast.
know seem to have these annual trips that are just givens and then like other trips sprinkled in. But the annual trip is like a work trip almost, that's just a thing. And then everything else kind
And
of
our book club
gets
was
added.
kinda like that
And
for
it
a while.
became that for
Yeah.
us, but that's, I think, more customary.
Well, I think, and if you recall, I don't know if your husbands go, but my husband, in response to the book club trips, decided to make it an annual trip to go to Las Vegas during the first weekend
Is that kind of how that started?
the NCAA tournament. Yes. And he has kept it every year. He's been for like the past 12 years. And he's never going to stop going.
No, he's not.
And I think that's wonderful because, our trips kind of petered off. Like things changed. People, had different responsibilities. They moved, they whatever. And it kind of fell apart. But him,
Oh, I'm going to make
he's
darn
going.
sure.
Yeah.
I say good for him.
I say good for him.
I mean, to keep that date and that event open that you will always go, it's just something to look forward to and it keeps you sane. And
No, it does. It's healthy.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know if the gambling's super healthy, but
well, okay.
only if you win.
I think it is. All things in moderation.
I was going to say, it's not, Rob doesn't have a problem. So
No, Rob
Not
doesn't
at
have
all.
a problem. So yeah, one girls trip that I took that I did not take with you guys, but I did take, and the point I guess of it was, it's the first one. It's before I met you guys really and started hanging out, but it's right after we had moved back here, and the kids were really little. Like Lillian was probably only 2, and my mom and sister decided to go on a Mediterranean cruise. Well, it was like an 11-day Mediterranean cruise.
Nice.
And when I heard them talking about it, I had just moved back into the state. I'm like, well, you guys can't go and have all this fun without me.
Yeah.
So I did. I left for 11 days.
That doesn't sound horrible.
And that almost seems like impossible given the ages of your children.
Oh, she was like, yeah,
But-
2 and 5.
Plus, Mediterranean, you're going a distance. You kind of
Again.
got to give yourself that.
I know, and you do. Again, there's that.
And I mean, my point was,
I think it's awesome.
would I sit there and say, I regret going to the Mediterranean with my mom and my sister?
No way.
Never.
Never. And I don't. So I'm glad I didn't get the, well, should I? Probably not.
Yeah.
But sometimes you just have to
No,
make that
sometimes
decision. and-
exactly.
Yeah. We, I went on a trip 2 weeks before COVID broke. I went to Vegas with my 3 sisters and my cousin Lizanne, who's an only child, so kind of like a sister. So she's like an extra sister. So anyway, we went on a sister's trip to Vegas.
Fun.
And we had the best time. We didn't know what was coming in just a couple of weeks when we got back and that everything
that's
was
a
shut
perfect
down.
trip. Yeah,
So
yeah.
we were very lucky to have gotten to do that right before all then, because I felt a little bit less like I missed out on everything during the COVID shutdown stuff because I had
Because
just
you had
gone
had
somewhere
that,
and done
yeah.
something ridiculous for a few days. So I had
If only
that,
we
and
could be forewarned when things are going to be shut down.
if someone could let me know next time there's going to be a pandemic so that I can plan an affordably responsible trip, that'd be great.
Joe and I went to, I surprised him at Christmas, and we went to go see the Reds spring training in Arizona. He's a really big Cincinnati Reds fan. And we literally were the week before everything was shut down. On the plane ride back, basically they had canceled the rest of spring training. So talk about doing something in the nick of time.
Well-
and it was the perfect trip. So
It's so funny you say that because when you just mentioned that, so we got back and Zachary was leaving. Zachary's my son, leaving the day that I got back to go to visit a friend who was in school in Canada. So,
yeah.
and you know, planes, trains, and automobiles, I found the cheapest way to get him there, but I had to drive him to Chicago. And then he flew like from Chicago to Toronto, I don't know, somewhere, then take a bus from there to the school. Like it was a long, tedious thing. Anyway, on his flight back a week later was when everything was shutting down and they were starting to shut airports. And I'm like,
What?
my kid's out of the country. Like, is he not going to get back? I was very scared. You know, he'd never traveled
And he was by himself, yeah.
By himself, you know, like, I mean, he was, you know,
Yeah,
19
we had no
or whatever.
we had no
but
experience in this
that's a big
pandemic
deal.
thing. Yeah.
Yes. He made it back. It's fine.
That's
Don't
awesome. I mean,
worry.
But yeah, I did.
He lost his AirPods on the bus, but other than that, he made it back.
We're good.
So let's transition from girls' trips, which are always, you said, are always vacations. Because you know why? Because if you would go and rent a house with a bunch of girls, you would take turns having to make stuff and clean up and all that, as
Yeah.
opposed to being the default
The doer.
person. Boy, I sounded really angry when I said that, but
But
Let it
it's
go.
truth.
yeah. Let's talk about family trips. Do you have any top 1 or 2, 3 family trips that you've been on that you would suggest our listeners do as well? Tracy, you got any?
Well, you know my Disney story, that it was the perfect vacation.
She
with
had
my
the perfect-
kids. We really did have
It was
the
a fairy
perfect
tale.
week in Disney, and we spent money we didn't have and did things that we had no business doing. And it was, they were old enough to remember. They were like 5 and 7. A couple of very funny stories, make it an even dozen. Some of the listeners will know that story. Very funny. So lots of good stories from that. And that was the perfect trip, I'd say.
Okay. And I think that we didn't take the kids to Disney until after you did. And I remember thinking, she did research.
Yeah,
She was online. She had a book. You had things like an itinerary.
Oh, I went to garage sales and Goodwill. They had Disney outfits that I bought ahead of time, like for every day we were there. We surprised them. We got bumped up to first class on the flight out,
No.
just randomly. We didn't pay for it. The kids thought that that's how everyone flew, which is not. Every
so I was
single
like,
they
our
got
Disney
they got
experience
led.
was
They got chosen to
complete
lead the
opposite.
parade in Disney World one day, like out of the blue, out of the crowd. Like it was ridiculous.
So you had the magical moments.
Yeah.
When I went, my phone got stolen and $3,000 worth of calls to Cuba were made that I was on the hook for. And Kim, what happened when you went to Disney?
Well, we just went within the last 5-6 years. So our kids were teenagers. Moms, don't feel guilty to take your kids to Disney when they're not going to remember one thing.
Yeah.
And we were kind of limited. We went in the summer. Mistake. We didn't pre-plan anything, which I wouldn't say that was a mistake. Within the first 10 minutes of being there, my 2 girls got in one of the biggest fights ever.
Fun.
Because of the heat and because of who was going to get the prettier, sparkly Disney Mickey Mouse ears. My son Jack looked at us and said, "This isn't a thrill park." I'm like, what? I felt so...
Those are all reasons for your kids to be
Yes.
disappointed. Like, I am on board with all 3 of them.
And
at this
we
point.
stood in line
magical.
we stood in line for hours. Joe got turned around and we were mocking him about not knowing things about directions. And this is urban legend in our family. He went on a 3-hour, wouldn't talk to anybody. We did everything that we possibly could in 2 days from sunup to sundown. And I don't give a crap if I ever walk through the Disney gates again.
Mickey Mouse can go to hell.
But it was something. It was something. Maddie was really my middle daughter. My middle was the only one that really really embraced it. We stayed at a bad RCI, place that was like a bad apartment complex because we wanted to save a buck. It just, not that great.
Okay.
Not that great. It was a trip, that's for sure.
Okay.
It
Not
was a trip.
vacation.
Well, and I know what you mean, but I've been fooled twice.
Yeah.
Twice.
I think that's
With
shame on
Disney?
me. I don't know.
No, it's which one's shame on me and which one is like you're an idiot. No, I've been fooled twice about pictures on like Travelocity or TripAdvisor, like looking at a place.
Oh, yeah.
And when we went, we had a family trip, which I totally loved. We went to San Diego and just kind of went around the Southern California area.
Nice.
But I swear to God, the pictures did not make this place look super seedy and
Reviews
disgusting.
are very important to read, yeah.
And we pull up, and my kids, I thought they weren't going to get out of the car. They're like, what? It was a little shady. But I'm like, I'm so sorry. At that point, what do you do?
And the cost of everything. I mean, you can't stay anywhere in California cheap. So
I'm like, it's fine. They're like, that pool isn't even as big as the Schaefer's pool. It wasn't. I'm like,
you know what though? Whether it was good or bad, that we still
a
have
good
our
story.
funny stories. I
Oh, it's
we
a good story.
Still mock each other about just what were we thinking?
Right.
So, but I don't even know if I'd even go with my grandkids. I really, I don't.
I will take your grandkids. I am taking them.
I know
I'm
any
saying
of those
it now.
Disney
You can
lovers
take mine
out there,
too.
more
All
power
right.
to you. But this girl just needs a beach. That's all.
I was going to
Yeah.
say, so Kim, what's a good family vacation that you've been on that you would suggest?
I mean, we are an ocean family.
Yes.
I think my girls are at an age now where they would probably like to go. You know, they have this fantasy that LA is like this magical town. They want to see somebody famous and
It's dirty.
I know. Or even go like Maine, Boston, that area.
pretty.
So I don't, time's running out as far as the ages of my kids,
Right.
as far as that kind of stuff. But to me, the best vacations are just going to, I like Florida. I mean,
Well, where do you go?
We go to like the Panhandle area. It's easy to get there. The beaches are prettier than the Atlantic side. I mean, you wanted to stay on the Gulf side and just, rent a house and
Lay down.
That's to me, I'm a very simple vacationer. My son is a simple vacationer. It's just, we don't really, agree on like what our activity level is.
You can't agree.
No. And that's just part of family vacations. I mean,
Yeah.
so nothing extravagant though.
Yeah, I was gonna say the one that stuck out to me maybe is the trip that I didn't really expect anything from, that turned out to be really like one of the better ones. I was like, oh my gosh, this was fun. Is that we went to Toronto, and we drove, which I think helps for me because air travel, I don't know, it just makes me on edge.
Yes.
It ruins if that's a
it's
day I have
very
to travel, it
anxiety
ruins my
inducing for
entire
me.
day because I like.
Yeah. I'm not a good air traveler.
So it was fun. We got to drive, and we drove to Toronto, and we spent like 5 days in Toronto, and Toronto's wonderful. And then when we came back, we went to Niagara Falls and spent a day or two. It was a little touristy dumb, but
You got to see Niagara Falls. I mean,
Niagara Falls. I thought, I don't care if I see Niagara Falls. It was worth seeing. And of course the kids love to see it because that was where Jim and Pam got married on The Office. So we kind of, we had an office moment there. And then on our way back, talking to Jack's thrill ride is when we were coming through Cleveland. We stopped at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and then we went to, what's the place called? Cedar Point.
Those are thrill rides.
Okay, those are, I'm going to throw up rides.
Yeah, or get dizzy for the entire day rides.
Or say really bad words that you shouldn't be yelling out loud. So I was trying to be super fun, Mom, and I hopped on a roller coaster.
How'd that go?
I yelled horrible things.
I thought you were going to
And
say
I-
you yelled whore when you went there.
I might have. And I had like whatever food I had just eaten was like all the way up in my windpipe from screaming. And I watched the rest of the time. I'm like, you know what?
You went too big, too quick.
I'm afraid
That's
of
what she said. I'm sorry.
God Almighty! You can't just throw.
No, but I tried to be fun. Good Lord.
That was a good one.
That was. I hope that we're going to have an outtake of all the.
so embarrassed.
You think your kids are going to be embarrassed about that? Oh, honey, you've done so.
Well, my God.
What?
I've done nothing.
Anyway,
I
so
took
yes.
a lover on a train.
This is so embarrassing. So anyway, I enjoyed our trip to Toronto, and I highly.
Toronto is a place too that
was fun.
my girls have talked about going before they want to spot Shawn Mendes.
Yeah,
So-
I looked. I didn't see him. Or Drake. I did not see Drake, and I don't like Drake, so I was ready to.
Okay, I just figured out you meant that Drake. I was thinking Drake and Josh, and I was trying.
Oh, I would be excited.
I was
Oh my
trying
gosh.
to figure out why you wanted to see him and why he would be there.
Anyway.
And I always
Exciting,
thought I
though.
like Josh better. I always like Josh better.
Everybody likes Josh better.
Okay, I don't know. I think the girls like Drake. On the show, they did. They all
No,
picked him.
That's a narrative that I don't believe in.
I don't back it up either.
And Drake Bell. I mean, we're not going to get into it, but he's
Predator, maybe? Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's transition away from that. Let's talk about places we haven't been, but it's on our list of places to go.
Don't start with me. I don't have one, but I'll think of
You
one.
don't have a place that you would really like to visit?
I would really, really like to visit Hawaii.
Okay.
Yeah. And my dream would be to visit with all of us, with our with my kids.
Right.
But I mean, again, the cost and all that stuff. But I know a lot of people say, oh, Hawaii, it's gorgeous and everything, but it's really overpriced and da-da-da-da-da. So what? I want to see those beaches.
It's
I want to
beautiful.
see,
It's worth it.
I was lucky enough to be able, Europe had always been on my bucket list. My brother studied over there. So a few years ago, speaking of your 11-day trip,
Yeah.
I took a 2-week trip without my children, which was a lot. I mean, I still can't believe I did that. And I went with my mom and dad. And so I got to see all of Rome and a lot of Italy. So, I mean, that was like a bucket list from
That's
a
awesome.
young age. So I think just in the States in general, Hawaii would be on there.
Okay.
Have you been to Hawaii? No. Okay.
No.
I've been.
You have been. I know. Yeah, I knew
It's
you
really
had been.
pretty.
So,
Yeah.
what about you?
There's a couple places that I put in the United States. I feel as though I'm missing something that I have not been west, like to Yellowstone National Park. Like I've never been to. You hated it?
No, I just don't want to go.
Oh, I thought that was like your
No, I think it
your
sounds
TripAdvisor
boring.
like review.
I think at a
Is
time I
Yogi
would
gonna
have
be
thought
there?
it
Other
would
than
have been
that, never
boring.
mind.
My brother played basketball in Wyoming, and my
Okay.
mom and dad, when I was in high school, or not high school because anyways, I was a couple years old.
You don't know who you were.
Anyways, my mom and dad went out there to take him out there, and everybody went. And I was this, 20 something. I'm not going, and they did the whole thing on the way there, and I deeply regret not going.
I just think
So.
that it's something to see.
Yeah, something
All
to
right.
see.
I mean, I don't think I can see it all. Obviously, it's a big national park. I don't know if you know that.
I've heard.
but
yeah.
just to see the tops, the
Yeah.
geysers and the
It's just an area that I know nothing about.
All right, go see it.
And then abroad, I would love to go. For some reason, I want to go to Portugal. And I know.
Well, there has to be a reason.
Oh, there's a good reason, because I think that Jack is going to remember this. In 6th grade, Jack and Sam had a project where they had to pick a country and then plan their whole trip. Like they had to have places that you had to figure out how to get there.
Ours was the Canada Railway.
Canada.
Back to the train again.
Boy, it's really
We see
something.
the attraction.
But I almost said that. So I did that project for Sam. I might have
Oh,
done
I
a
did
lot
Jack's.
of it. But it was interesting.
So he did Portugal?
Yeah.
Oh,
And so
awesome.
I learned about what's there, all the sights to see and how to get around. And it has a little bit of everything. I want to go.
Okay.
And it's all due to Sam's stupid trip. So I don't know if I have
Okay, but he was in 6th grade, 10 years ago?
100 years ago. Yeah.
Okay. Just
Well, I don't even know if I'm going to take him. At this point, I feel like I need to.
Well,
He planned the
it's your
trip.
trip. Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe we'll have to find his report.
He did not, though. So really, you did. And
He sat by and watched.
No, he didn't. He played on his video games probably.
He was
while
playing
you did
Mario
it.
Kart.
Yeah.
So yeah, for some reason, Portugal, it's on my list.
All right.
I'll let you know. To wrap it up.
Wait, I have one.
Oh.
Don't wrap it up
Oh my
yet.
gosh, she remembered.
Well, I don't really want to go on this trip necessarily, but I want to see the Northern Lights.
Oh.
So I guess I have to go somewhere to see them.
though. My
Unless
brother,
somebody can make that happen. Yeah, I know.
I know that's the hard part. Is that
It's
my
hit or
brother
miss.
went peak season. They went out they traveled by. I mean,
Right.
it was rough weather. Everything traveled out, and it never happened.
Yeah. See,
So-
so it's not like I really, and there are
But
several places
wouldn't that
you
be
can go
amazing,
to
though?
see them. So it's not like I have a location that I want to go see them.
Oh, that would be so.
I've heard
neat.
Iceland, but what other places are we?
Canada.
Yeah, I don't know other
Yes.
places. I knew Iceland was. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I knew. Yeah,
Like Nova Scotia or something like way.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. Other
that would
places.
be-
They.
that would be
I
amazing.
don't know. So kind of that. But if I didn't, back in the day, like in encyclopedia, you'd look at a few color pictures and almost everything else was in black and white.
Yeah.
True.
And TV shows, you couldn't just search for a show about Hawaii. Like Hawaii Five-0 was the closest you were going to get to learning about Hawaii on TV, and there
Yeah.
was no internet. Now, I can pretty much put in there the Lani Keilani Lounge live feed and see what's going on. So I don't have as much of a desire to do something
Okay.
like that
Okay.
I would, because you can do so much virtually.
yeah.
I might get one of those NFTs or whatever it's called and join whatever meta universe thing that's happening. I don't know.
You're so meta.
And I'll just travel
I
that
actually
way.
just learned everything about Hawaii from that one episode of The Brady Bunch.
Well, you learned everything you need to know. Just hold on to the plans.
Oh yeah. No.
And don't
Oh, was
have
that
that
a different
tiki.
episode?
that was Kings Island.
Oh, you're right.
That was also another fun family trip.
That is
The
fun.
Anyway.
Hawaii one was the
The tiki doll
tiki
Oh,
doll.
yeah. Sorry.
and a tarantula. But anyway, yeah,
Tarantula.
there was one.
Hold on to the plans. But the sad thing is, I knew exactly what you were talking about.
I know.
Greatest
And
episode.
I thought you were right. So that's not much I know. We'll wrap it up here with just a word of warning. If you had to warn someone, I've been here and I don't think you should ever go. Save
that's
your
a tough
time and
one.
money. Do you have a place that you would warn someone about going to?
Nope. I would try anywhere.
Try anywhere. Kim?
I haven't had that
A bad
I
experience.
just think it's as I've gotten older, and the internet helps us a lot. I think it's really important if you're going someplace and you're doing an Airbnb or you're doing something, you really have to research your.
True.
You really do, and
Know your surroundings.
know your surroundings and
Yeah.
stuff. But I think I'm open to about anything.
Okay. The only one I thought of was Memphis. Don't go.
Don't you talk down on Graceland again. I've heard
I'm
it.
not.
I don't want to
I'm
hear
not
it
going
again.
to talk down about Graceland. I'm going to talk down about Memphis. It's hot. It's gross. It's dirty.
Alabama is as
And there's
well.
nothing else to see
Joe
unless
Owens-
you want to
yeah.
go through his
Don't-
modest home.
I just said not to talk bad about it.
He's probably listening because he's upstairs, and that's why I
Thank
couldn't
you.
go up. Anyway.
I agree.
All right, kids. Well, that's all you need to know about travel. I appreciate everyone listening today. I hope that you will share with us fun locations for either a girls' trip or a family trip or both.
or a vacation
Yeah. We want to know
trip vacation.
vacation. We want to know what's good, where we should go next. We could take it on the road.
Yeah.
Do our podcast live from
Really?
I made that up.
Okay. I'd do it.
I would too.
Me too. So.
All right.
Unless we went to Memphis, and then I'm not going. So thank you so much for joining us on Up for Grabs, and we look forward to seeing you next time.